I didn't bloody encourage him. He just didn't seem like the type to cause much bother. He looked like a bushie, dressed in the weirdest get-up, matted hair, animal skins, no shoes, but a lot of blokes go a bit feral out here, so I didn't see there was any harm. He asked if he could camp by the river, down in the back paddock. I just said, go for it. Warned him about snakes, and off he went. All that crap about him eating cicadas, I don't know about that, but he looked after himself. I went down there every so often to see that he was all right. Once he gave me some honeycomb and a cuppa. He always looked okay, in a sort of Mad Max extra kind of vibe. Serious bugger though. Religious. No point trying to talk footy with him, but it was always God this and God that, and are you ready? And I thought, ready for bloody what? But I never really asked. Anyway, I liked him. Kept himself clean, did no damage. I suppose I thought he must be one of those PTSD army vets trying to get his head together. Poor buggers. Live and let live, I reckon. He went to town once that I remember. Caused a stir outside the church, preaching up a storm, telling them they were a dirty bunch who needed a good wash. I saw that it wasn't going to end well, so I whacked him in the ute and drove him back to the river. I could hear him from the house on still nights, singing and praying under the stars, going on like a bloody fruitcake, but no harm done, eh? No worse than the cicadas. If I'm honest, since the wife left and the boys went north, the place had been a bit empty, and he filled the silence a bit. Good worker too. Always up for helping me fix a fence or put out feed. Stock even liked him. Never seen animals so calm as when he was around, but mainly he just sat by the river talking to God and staying out of trouble. It was about a month before the first group arrived. Bunch from town, who'd been at the church when he went gangbusters on them. I grabbed the rifle from the back of the ute, thinking they were here to give him a going over. I wasn't going to shoot anyone. I just wanted them to know he was on my property and they needed to behave. That was a bit tense. Anyway, they said they'd come to hear more from him, that he'd made sense. So I let him in and followed him down to the river, just in case. He was swimming, but he walks out of the water, stark as, then just looks at them and starts to talk. More of the God stuff and the getting clean stuff and questions about how they wanted to live their lives, and they bloody listened. I got him a towel and a pair of pants. You get to know people out here. You grow up together. Even the newcomers give up their secrets in the end. I knew most of this mob. I'm not saying they're bad folk, just no better than the rest of us, even with their church going. I could tell you a few stories about Maureen, for example, and Ahmed. Hasn't all been Sunday school and church picnics for that lot, I can tell you. But then they could tell you a few stories about me. Some I probably can't remember myself. Live and let live. But that was never Jono's approach. He was a live and get better sort of bloke. By the end, some of them called him Mad John, some Holy Joe, some called him Bunyip because he was always dragging people into the river, but he was Jono to me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That first day with the mob on the bank, they listened. And then he tells them they got to wash away the muck of their lives and get right with God. They got to walk into the river with him and go under. And they did. They bloody did. One by one, they just walked in with him, and he dunked them right under, and they came up spluttering and laughing and hugging each other. And then they stayed, and he made them damper and tea, and they sung a bit and told stories. Sun went down, stars came out. No one was going anywhere. And I just sat there on the edge of the firelight listening. But he never put the hard word on me. Just gave me the occasional look to see how I was and passed me a cuppa and let me be. And I noticed how that mob of wet townies were all sort of, I don't know, changed, calmer, kind of glowing in the firelight and acting like everything's all okay with the world. I didn't get it then. I kind of liked it, but I didn't get it. Never been big on the God stuff. It was nice, but... Anyway, they went away and I thought that'd be that. Nope. Doesn't rain, but it pours. About a week later, another mob from Roma, of all places, rock up, looking for the preacher, they said. I asked them why, and they said they just wanted to talk, so I let them in. Follow them down, same story. They all got dunked, and they come up all clean and happy and weird. After that, it was every day or so another mob would turn up. There was 2 or 3 mobs a day. The paddocks were getting ripped up with all the vehicles, so I started making them walk down to the river, thinking that'd put them off. Dreaming. They got out of their cars, and they walked. They got dunked. They skipped back home. I thought about charging admittance, but I figured if Jono didn't charge for the Dunkins, then I would have been cutting it a bit rough asking for money. Oh, mate, we had all sorts. Graziers, townies, city folk, a bunch of nuns. Ha! A bishop! Then the local cops turned up. I thought they were going to run him out of town, but no. They come for a Duncan. I went down for that one. I swear he held him under a bit longer. Or maybe I just hoped he would. And they all came up saying they'd changed their ways. All looking scared, then looking hopeful. I made them walk too. Even the local Indigenous mob came one night. They're always welcome here and they don't ask permission. I figure it was their place before it was my place. They fish, they yarn, they shut the gates, they don't cause any trouble. Well, this night they sat at Jono's fire and sang. I wasn't invited, so I didn't go. Heard the songs all night. Language songs. Songs about this place, I reckon. The next day, Jono looked alive with something new. Don't know if anyone got dunked that night. And if they did, I don't know who dunked who. It got so I hardly had time to work the place. People coming and going, newcomers leaving gates open, folks coming with food and gifts for him, none of which he'd take. Some camping down there so they could be close to him. Then his cousin turns up. Stinking hot afternoon. Eagles wheeling across the sky. Frogs singing in the waterholes. He walks up the drive. He was on his own. Looked like a backpacker hunting for work. Asked where John was. Took me a while. Oh, yeah, Jono, yeah, down at the river. Will you show me? So I walked him down, and it was full-on weird. As in weirder than it normally was with Jono. He sees this bloke, and he looks kind of scared and kind of embarrassed, like I'd never seen him look before. And he didn't say anything, which, for Jono, was kind of a miracle in itself. The young bloke just went up to him and hugged him. No one hugged Jono. No one. And then Jono tried to send all his followers away, but the young bloke said not to. Evening dropped in, all red and gold and full of the cries of settling birds. We sat by the fire, and Jono asked me to sit too. I could tell something was up, and he wanted company, but not his followers, not this time. He introduced us. The young bloke, well, you know who he is. Everyone knows who he is now. Back then, he could have been anyone. I didn't take much notice. Seemed like a nice kid. Determined, calm, polite. Anyway, he asked Jono to dunk him too. Woo! Talk about lighting the blue touch paper. Jono went troppo. No way he was going to dunk that young bloke. He wanted the young bloke to dunk him. Said he wasn't good enough to tie his shoelaces, let alone clean him up. Jono was flipping out, calling himself all sorts of names and begging the young bloke to change his mind, and all the time, the young bloke just sat quietly and listened. When Jono had subsided, the young bloke made a cuppa, and we sat, saying nothing. Then they stood up and started walking to the river. I followed, standing on the bank, knowing something big was up. When they got deep enough, I could tell Jono was wanting to leg it, get out of there, but the pup said, "This is how it needs to be, John." Just stared him down. Then Jono dunks him. I don't know what happened then. I mean, I saw it and I remember it, but I don't know what it was. There hadn't been a cloud in the sky all day, but it was like the sun came up again and broke through thick rain clouds just enough so this beam of light smashed straight into the water where they were, like God was going spotlighting and they were a pair of roos. Then this bloody great cockatoo rips in out of nowhere and lands on the kid's shoulder. And the noise! Thunder's got nothing on that noise. So loud it drew every other sound into it and sucked the breeze dry. And we've argued about it ever since, those of us who were there, and well, I know what happened. I know what I heard. It was a voice. Not a human voice. And not using words I know, but using words I understood. It said, "This is my child, who I love. I'm so pleased with him." The words every kid ever born wants to hear from their dad. The words most of us never do. As loud as a waterfall and as soft as a kiss. Just booming across the sky, but also whispering in your ear. And we were all bawling like babies and dropping to our knees, and then it's gone. It's just gone. And the cicadas start up again. And there's just Jono and the young lad in the water holding each other like long-lost brothers. Then Jono holds out his hand to me. And I walk in too. And when I got there, I knew what was going to happen. But it's not Jono who does it. The young bloke looks at me as if to say, "Are you okay about this?" And I just nod. Then he dunks me. He leans me back into the darkening water. And I go under. I feel like I'm drowning, but I know I've got breath. There's something choking me, something trying to get out. I start to panic, and with water flowing over me, I cough up this ball of darkness and pain and regret, this wad of sorrow and sadness that holds every dumb thing I ever did and more, and I spit it into the water with the last of the air in my lungs, and I know I'm gonna die. The water's gone black. And I don't know where the surface is. I've got nothing left, and I just want to drift away like a leaf in the current. Then he lifts me up out of the water. And I'm hacking for breath and wondering why I'm alive. And I hear that bloody great cockatoo screech from the sky right over my head, and I just bloody laugh. Laugh like I've never bloody laughed in my life, or not since I was a kid. Like a dam breaking, like a chain snapping, like a kid who's just heard the words he's been longing to hear all his life. And the young bloke's smiling at me, and Jono's bawling his eyes out, but nothing seems to have changed. But the whole stupid world is completely different. Like I said, I don't know what happened. But I'll take it. That was a while ago now. So much has changed. Not long after that day, Jono and his followers left, came and said thanks and goodbye and walked off up the drive. I asked him if I could come, but he said I wasn't one of his. Wasn't cruel, even though it hurt. He was a mate. But he was right. I wasn't one of his. Last thing he said to me was, "Keep an eye on him for me, eh?" I know now that they headed into the city. Jono went to town on the government one too many times and ended up in jail. Then there was the accident. Death in custody. Another one. You hear the rumours and they're not pretty. But he was never going to be old bones. Too much fire. Too much truth. Good bloke, Jono. Really good bloke. Broke my heart a bit when I heard. And me? I'm doing what he asked. Place is leased out. I'm travelling with a young bloke now, keeping an eye on him. You wouldn't credit what I've seen. Stuff I'd never dreamed could happen. Good stuff. But the clouds are gathering. News spreads. The wrong people are taking notice and we're heading to the city now. Might all end in tears. But I'll be there. Whatever. I heard that voice. And I heard that cockatoo's call. I've been under the water and I've come up. I reckon, if it can happen once, there's no reason to think it can't happen again. I told that to the young bloke. He just smiled. And then we started to laugh.